Um, and like always, we'll start with a quick prayer. And before I start, I had a question for everybody. I put up the Hafiz sayings. Any reason you think, or any way this is connected to what we're doing with Stay with God? Any ideas? I'm sure a lot of us know, but I'm just throwing it out there. Why do you think I picked Hafiz Day? Anyone? Okay, we don't have too much time, so I'll just jump in and make sure
Yesterday,
I make the
Jai Baba,
connection. Yeah,
yesterday there was a mention of Hafiz. I
yeah, that's one.
recollect
That's
that,
one. But Baba's also
and
said that Francis is his Hafiz.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so
yes,
yeah, so he's his Hafiz, and as a tribute to that statement, and as a tribute to Francis for this beautiful epic, let's read the three Hafiz sayings before we start today. Ashok, over to you, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, very apt. Thank you, Karthik. Avatar, Meher Baba, couplets of Hafiz, a mystical Persian poet, befitting a fortunate slave, carry out every command about what you hear. It is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in your own incapacity to understand him. I am slave of the master who has released me from ignorance. Whatever my does is of the highest benefit. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you, Ashok. So, with that, I'll just tell you what was the homework given to the team and what we think is the context for Stay with God in 2-3 minutes. And then I'll hand over to Thota Nageswara Rao Garu. Welcome all to the second session, which is a primer, which is intended to be like a primer. I know we are already a few pages into the book, but it's intended to be like a primer to the reading of Stay with God with rich insights and personal experiences apart from explanations on the book coming from Rao Garu. So what we did was I'm sure you may be aware of a particular YouTube channel that is very recent. It's called Mehrabad, and we actually used what parts. I mean, it's basically what parts talking about God speaks, and then Stay with God. So he has put up about 12 videos on Stay with God, and my request to the team was to be listening to these. So it's very well done. There's a 10-minute intro followed by you can see the titles. These are the references where he goes part by part and expects the reader to accompany him in the journey. So the reader does his own reading, but stays in touch with this videos. Unfortunately, all the videos are not uploaded, so it ends abruptly at Stay with God with an eighth session, so-called eighth session. But that's not what is all, right? So he also has put out reference material, which by his permission, which I have sought, we have actually put it out here. So there is a daily guide which he has created, a study guide for the book, which our team is supposed to have read. I know. I hope people are referring all of this. Then there is a long version syllabus again for the book. So again, what Park's background is academics and literature specifically. So he's done a fantastic job of making a study plan of this book. So here's what he proposes are the schedule and topics. Beautifully, he has also linked references. So, what are the focal readings that are relevant to each session, right? So, each session there are different things. And if you notice, he has used the words in packet. I'll get to that in a minute. So that's how he has created this. So as I said, we have videos to support us till session 8. And then it's, I think, Naman. Naman is the person in Mehrabad. I've been in touch with him. I don't think he's uploaded the balance videos. I'm not sure if it's recorded yet or it's due for just upload. We'll figure it out. So with that, I'll go to the word I pointed out. So he created what is called a packet, right? So he's actually created, if you look at the naming convention he has followed, corresponding to the session, the references that are in his section called focal readings are actually available here, painstakingly put together. This is fantastic, right? So this is actually pages from the book, painstakingly scanned and put out here. Now, this again is the biography of Francis by Ross Keating. Similarly, all of those reference documents are available here for the group. Now, when I say here, and that's why we use Microsoft Teams. So what we have actually done is created a Meher Baba Awakens organization, and all that you see here, all this work files, notes, and the ebooks are available to everybody. In fact, anybody who wishes to join the group, and they can actually refer and learn at their own pace. So we learn as a group, we discuss, but whatever we do, including the markings and the highlightings and the notes that we add to the book, is actually uploaded and saved here. So even a person who's not able to join in a particular weekend can catch up with the video and the actual reference material and the books. So if you see here, we have all the books that we have read till now, and we have references wherever appropriate. For example, if you go to, we have put the Ivy Do's audios on discourses, and yeah, her specific diagrams that she used in the discourses that she's referred to. It's just an audio. There's no video that exists for that, right? And for discourses, we did a lot more work, and I'll spend 2 minutes. So we have quite a bit of content for discourses. So we have our own combined single file edition of the file. We grouped thematically the chapters of discourses because we felt that was a good way for a detailed reader. So we actually read discourses in sequence once, but then grouped it as sequences. Can you see this on the top? So there is spirit and matter, consciousness, sanskaras, God, Maya, and all the single tiles that you see are actually chapters. So again, this is a public asset available to anybody. I can share the link, and then people can actually go to this asset. If they go to the asset, you will actually see the date of the reading, the videos that you need. If the chapter was done in 2 sessions, there are 2 videos, and the essence of the chapter, which is basically the subtitles. This is another interesting take. We believe that there is some value and Baba's message in the subtitles in each chapter. So we have actually collected that for each chapter, so it's available easily. If there are references, we put it here. If there are any projects, quiz, we add it all to the same thing. And this is all, as I said, public. So for a serious reader of discourses, this was a good place to start. And it's do it at your own pace and join into the videos join into the live classes if we do discourses again. By the way, we are thinking of doing discourses again soon. So anyway, so that's a broad introduction to our style of working and the specific context of what I expect the team to have already seen from a Stay with God perspective. So I think a few of them should have already done most of this. So this is the context I wanted to set before handing over to Thota Nageswara Rao Garu, who will take up, as I said, specific passages and with an intro to the parts. Any questions, any thoughts before we get started?
Karthik, my personal request is I'm able to get at this very easily in Teams. I need some
Ah.
tutoring from you later. Okay.
Yeah, that's offline. Yeah, we
Okay.
will do that. We'll do that. Yeah.
Same
Uh,
here, Karthik.
we'll do that. We will do that.
Thanks.
So, in fact, we can do a group session as well, so that it benefits everybody. Okay. So, with that, let's jump on to the main topic of the day. And again, with thanks and a warm welcome, I welcome Nageshwar Rao Garu to the session. And today he's going to focus on the passages. He will share his screen. And most importantly, he has requested that this should be as interactive as possible. So as he's reading, please feel free to stop, question, just unmute yourselves and ask questions. So this is a great opportunity, guys. Let's make the best of it. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Jai. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more and more and more and still yet more till we become worthy of union with you, and help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Jai Baba. So let me begin with a small analysis of this prayer. And this prayer is addressed to God. And the request in the prayer is, help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman. There is a wonderful angle to it. You know, we are offering a prayer to God, requesting Him to hold fast to Baba's Dham until the very end. That is the prayer. Okay. Now, why a book is very difficult for us to follow. So we turn to, suppose, let us take Stay with God or God Speaks or Discourses. One page we can sustain. But when it comes to second page, we close the book and keep it aside. Why? Because I have pondered into this problem and I found out that mostly spirituality is a subject which we are not rather, used to, because we don't use the terminology, use that context in our daily life. So we use faculty of imagination. But this imagination we can carry up to a certain point. Beyond that, it becomes unbearable to carry that load. Suppose I tell you about a particular location in United States of America, but the fellow whom I am addressing to, he never visited US. I say, that lane, second lane from the third street, in Washington, he cannot. Even US, it is still there in his imagination only. But he says, no, don't go into details, because all these things I cannot carry them in my imagination. That is the problem with us. So if we really want to navigate comfortably, we have to reduce the quantum of imagination. So by using certain graphics, we can reduce, the amount of imagination we carry. Once a thing is put in a graphic presentation, so that is out of imagination. So like that, we should try to visualize certain things. So we need not carry that imagination. That is my sincere suggestion. And let me share with you some graphics which I have made, so that it would be useful to you. Yeah. You're able to see, Karthik. You're
Yes,
able
sir.
to
Yes,
see?
yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody is able to see. Thank
So
you.
in the beginning, if you see Stay with God, as an introduction, he sees everything and nothing. He uses capital everything and small everything. That everything, this everything. That nothing, this nothing. Isn't it? So this is the graphic presentation. So this is real everything. This is what Francis refers to as that everything. And this is, this everything. That is false everything. So the nothing, that nothing, which is included in that everything, that means this nothing, God's own shadow. So from that, the entire creation erupted out when the whim occurred, isn't it? So this false everything came up. This is the creation. And the shadows of these false everything, they are all false nothings. This nothing. So that is how, you can make it very easy. Just if you just go on reading it, you can never understand, I tell you very clearly. So if we can reduce that into black and white, in a graphic way, it becomes very, very handy. So this is how really we navigated through stay with God. Several diagrams, we could prepare. So I suggest, because you youngsters, you're more capable, more organized than, we people, because we are not conversant with digital climate and all that. My young friends, they helped me out. So this is my first suggestion. And then, I want to just read out certain sample passages. This entire book is one song, and Francis calls it a love song. Ignorant men of domestic culture, say that Jesus was the first bringer of love. So the Christianity, those people, they say that before Jesus, love was not there. So with Jesus only love started. So domestic culture means, suppose a frog lives in a well. So it knows only that which happens within that well. Beyond that, it is not aware of. So domestic culture means people who are not exposed to the bigger things. They say that Jesus was the first bringer of love. Despicable is their doctrine, having it that before this God was loveless. How wonderful. That is why, sir, the Times of India magazine of those reasons, 1949, in its review, it mentioned about this book. If you want to know what original thinking is like, this is the book. You go through this. Such a wonderful recommendation, you see. And other ignorant men have it that love is now sealed. Yeah. Mohammedans, they say that with Muhammad, the dispensation of love is sealed. He will not come again. That there is no further need of his descent and example. So love does not admit a first or a last. God is never of more or less. All his bright messengers were nothing but love, and the essence of love, sun bright and wholly perfect. So nice, sir. He says love, it eternally exists. So there is no beginning, there is no end to love. That is what. And second thing, the time now is Baba, who is the same one, the first one, the ancient one. That means, Francis wants to explain that avatar is a singular word. It is not plural. To say that avatars is a blunder, because the same one comes again and again and again. So with this, he wants to establish one particular, what shall I say, integration of all the religions in the world. That is what Baba said, I have come to arrange the different religions of the world like beads on one string. So here, Francis wants to emphasize that. It's the same one as the first one. Yeah. Only the squint-eyed sees two ones. One who has the distorted vision, he only can see two avatars. One avatar is different, second avatar is different, like that. But the last one supersedes the one before. Else it were ideal for one to come again. Wonderful, sir. What I understand out of this is, God is not a fool to come again and again just for nothing. There is a purpose. There is a purpose. And he says, the moment a fresh avatar comes yet again, it means that the earlier avatars have outlived their utility. Otherwise, why should you come? Isn't it, sir? Isn't it? Suppose I have a shop wala has a stock of 10 bottles of a particular thing. He orders for another fresh stock. Why? Because, maybe that is expired. It outlives its utility. So he would say, this is the fresh stock. So once the fresh stock comes, it supersedes the one before. His first coming would have been sufficient to the end of time. So this is what, he wants to emphasize. If you say that Rama is God, very good. And Krishna is God, very good. And you say Krishna is the same Rama, come again. Oh, then you need to analyze. If Rama is God, if it is enough to worship Rama, why Krishna needs to come again? No, you have to use your senses to analyze. That is what Francis wants to emphasize, isn't it? If Rama's coming was enough, it would have been enough till the end of time. He need not come again. And God would not have had the great pleasure of renewal with his lovers or of meeting his future devotees. You see, he wants to renew his connection with his lovers. That is the reason why, he wants to come afresh. That is a wonderful feel. Imagine anyone taking the trouble of making a world and only visiting it once. This is the most wonderful statement made by Francis, isn't it? Christians and for that matter Islam, they say that God will not come again as the prophet. What is what an idiotic concept it is, he says, because God has created this vast universe and he would visit it only once. No, that is what he says. Sir, now it reminds me of one beautiful story, rather, fiction by Bhauji, He tells like this. There is a very rich person in a village. Oh, he handles very big business houses. He lives in Delhi or Bombay for that matter. But he has a son of 9-year-old age. So he kept his son in his own village and he sought the help of 5 of his known teachers, very, very well known to him. And every day in the evening, after his work is over, he would contact the 5 friends. How is my child? How is my kid? Is he doing well? And you mentioned that he's not doing well in mathematics. Why don't you arrange for a special section? Don't worry about the money and all that. Take care of his health. Provide him the best nutritious food. So no, he was meticulously following up, the health, the progress of the child. But being very busy, he could visit only once in a full year. So once he said to his friends, I would be visiting my son in the next week. So these 5 teachers, they convey this news to the child. Your father is coming. But the child being so young, he could not really, connect, because once in a year he comes. So he is not able to, properly recognize his father. So the father came and with all love and affection, he embraced his child, and the child was wonderstruck. Who is this man showering this much of love on me? He says, I am your father. I am the one who is providing you with everything. These 5 people are my friends, and through them I provide you everything. And the child says, sorry, I'm not able to recognize you. The father undergoes, severe heart pain. He has everything, hundreds and thousands of crores, but still he is experiencing the agony because his own child is not able to recognize his father, isn't it? So Bhau says that is the state of the avatar. He is the father. He provides us with everything we require through the 5 perfect masters of that time. But in our ignorance, because he cannot come every day, he comes only in 700 or 1400 years. So naturally, it becomes very difficult for us to recognize him. So we would ask for proofs. Can you show me some proof that you are my father? How could you show? But still, Baba says, I told in Bhagavad Gita, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Galanir Bhavati Bharata. Yeah, the same one. And he would show in Bible also, I indicated that the second coming of the Christ and all that. But still, the child in its ignorance, it cannot really understand. But still, the father cannot wait until the child recognizes him. So with that pain in his heart, he would depart. And the child goes to the bank, with the passbook. What is my balance? The bank people say that 1 lakh and 1,000. No, no, sir, only 1,000 balance I have, the child says. No, no. Yesterday, one person came and he was very, very, very miserable. We asked him, what is the reason? He said, my own child could not recognize me. Anyhow, I am keeping this 1 lakh in his account. Let him use it. Then the child wept. Hari, I miss, such a wonderful thing. He is my real father. I miss him. So that is it. Though we recognize, though we do not recognize, still the avatar comes and he gives, what is to be given to us, whether we realize it or not. That is the greatness of the avatar. So here, Francis, he puts that the same father, he is owner of the universe. He is not a tenant. And perfect masters are only tenants and handling it, for the time being as entrusted to them by the avatar. Avatar is the owner of the universe. He the ancient one. He only comes again and again because the whole creation is his own creatures. The next poem. The last one is the same as the
Before
first.
that,
Yeah, please,
I think Kama has a question. And by the
please.
way, I think I like your analogy again. Owner tenant, perfect masters being the tenants because
Yeah,
they do only it one at a time. And the owner of the universe is Baba. Very good way.
yeah.
Kama, go ahead, and then after that, Ashok. And by the way, the protocol is you can directly unmute and ask. Just wait for a pause in
Yeah,
Rao
please.
Garu's talk and then directly unmute and ask. For now, Kama, then Ashok. Kama, go ahead.
Yeah, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
When you were mentioning about the purpose, there is a purpose for the avatar to come.
Yeah,
And of course, in relationship to one of the essays in Everything and Nothing, there is one essay called Purposelessness in Infinite Existence.
yes, sir.
Now, for me, that particular essay is a very insightful essay in terms of understanding the purpose of creation and our role in creation in terms of what we are doing out here in terms of Jnana Yoga.
Yes, sir.
And I mentioned this earlier to this group that the other essay that has been very impactful for me is the Lover and the Beloved, the first
Yes, sir.
essay in Everything and the Nothing, which again emphasizes about the union of the self, because uh, the whole uh, the whole divine theme is about this whim and that God is playing this imaginary game or the divine game or the divine dream that's happening, where we are seeing a certain pattern. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was when we are talking about the avatar coming every 700 years, 700 to 1400 years, it's almost like, for me at least, it's like a computer game. The
Yes, sir. Yeah,
the designer, for example, that when you're creating a game, who is the first person to play it? It's the creator, the designer.
yes,
He
sir.
makes it perfect and releases the game into the market. And then the
Excellent.
players, they start looking at the game, they know the rules of the game and start playing it. So after a few years, the game gets a virus, it gets contaminated. Now, who is
Yeah,
going to provide the antivirus software to make the
yeah,
game better, to remove
yeah,
the
yeah,
virus?
yeah, yeah.
So the avatar again comes back and he creates a new version of the same game, which is what
Yes,
you're
sir.
talking about, all the different avatars that have come and gone.
Yes, sir.
So the point out here is that are we focused on understanding, what the avatar's role is out here and getting all emotionally, all worked up, like putting him on a pedestal and so on and so forth. I mean, it's equivalent to having a parent, a parent who has children, and the children, some of them are not behaving, misbehaving and doing all kinds of negative things. Naturally, the parent is going to get affected, and he has the responsibility of, making sure that, or he takes in the suffering, because others are getting affected by the misbehavior of the children. So for me, this whole thing about that we need to understand the role of the avatar, because the avatar himself is a drop soul like us who won the first lottery of self-realization, as we know. But this is something very controversial in the way I explain it, and some people take a negative attitude towards that. So I wanted to know your thoughts on it. Jai Baba.
Yes, sir. The very first drop soul, as you said, which realized its godhood, that assumed the role of the father. That assumed the role of the father with regard to the other souls. Yeah. So that conscious God, he comes in human form to help the souls which are still in the journey, sir. So that role only, because as we have been mentioning, the very first soul, it keeps coming as avatar every time. But when it comes afresh, it is more suitable to the contemporary situation, because the avatar's working style, it depends on the accumulated some contemporary samskaras. Suppose, we are in the machine age now, we are in the atomic age. Now, the constitution of the bundle of samskaras on the universal scale is different compared to Treta Yuga or Dwapar Yuga. So, depending on that, his working style is decided. That is what, sir, I mean to say. So, here the purpose is to overhaul the universe. Francis also used that word. When the avatar comes, he overhauls the wheels of the universe. He considers the universe as a machine. There are different wheels, and shafts. So he overhauls everything. And again, he keeps them in a right working condition so that, the movement can be comfortable. It does not create any itch anywhere. So that is the purpose for which the avatar comes. That is what I mean to say, sir. The mission of the avatar is to ensure, smooth working of the universe. Hello, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I,
Jay
Ashok, go
Baba,
ahead.
Jai
Nageshwar
Baba, Jai
Rao.
Baba. Jai Baba.
So,
Yeah, thank
so
you. Thank
carrying on with your with what you discussed and told us yesterday and today, that the avatar is come to overhaul the universe.
Yes, sir.
So my only question is that yeah, we know all about the old the various avatars and his advent, but the question is that uh, the avatar, when he comes in this era, he is he aligned to the situation which is happening in the world today? Because I also refer to the chapter called the Travails of the New World Order
Yes, sir. Yes,
in
sir.
discourses,
Yes, sir.
in which we had started our discourses journey. So, if you could throw some light that and just explain that
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
the
He's
advent
working.
of the
Yeah,
avatar
yeah.
in the new avatar, is that the right understanding?
Yes,
Jay
sir.
Baba, it's a
Then,
very simple.
yeah, 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 yeah. The new avatar, he adopts that working style, which is, perfectly commensurate with the prevailing conditions, with the contemporary situation. That is what Baba said. That is the reason why Baba says, now love is the remedy. Suppose, during Ramayana time, and the evil was concentrated, among certain individuals, Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and certain people. So Rama could kill those people and he could restore the balance. But now everyone is a Ravana, isn't it? Everyone has a concentrated evil now. So he cannot just go by the same old weapon, isn't it? Because now he has to exterminate every individual. If he has to use the same, copy the model, same model. So now, he chose a different weapon, that is love. So transform every heart. So for that, he chose the way of love. So that is the latest trend, that is suitable. That is what Baba says. Love is the most suitable remedy to the current situation. Is such a mighty force that there is no problem it cannot solve. That is the reason why, sir.
Correct. So that sort of explains the rationale of the advent of the avatar
Yes, sir.
age
Yes, sir.
after
Yes,
age.
sir. Yes, yes. And another thing also is that Baba also said the message that is given by the avatar depends on the level of maturity of the contemporary humanity. Because, Christ came among shepherds. So he said, you are like a sheep, I am like a shepherd. So long as you are under my care, you are safe. Don't worry. But now, Baba gave out discourse as God speaks because the level of understanding and acceptance is much more now, isn't it, sir? So
Correct. Correct.
we were able to understand, deep subjects. We can dive deep. So he has given us this wealth of a fund of knowledge. But the same truth, same truth. The truth is the same. Only the way of
Correct.
expression, it is different. Yeah.
Relevant to the present contemporary needs of
Yes,
today's
sir.
world
Yes, sir.
order.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That is,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Jai Baba, sir.
I
Jai
think
Baba.
if I may add, love is the only message, but then it has been packaged differently as you rightly said, to the times that were relevant when the avataric advent happened. I'm reminded of Erud's story, again, Baba's story, but I've heard it through Erud's voice about the oats. The oats
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in
Yeah.
so I'll just
Fresh
recount that.
stock of
Yeah,
oats.
fresh
Yeah.
stock. Yeah, right. So
Yeah, yeah.
if there is a mother and then she's going to a regular shop and buying a usual brand of oats, and she goes to the same supermarket and asks for oats, and the man says, "Oh, there's only one in the shelf," and she goes to grab it. Then the shopkeeper says, "Hey, hold on, there's fresh stock inside. Do you want that, or do you want to wait for me to get you the fresh stock?" Any mother will automatically go and say, "Take the fresh stock," right? So Baba used that to distinguish or contrast what we should do after we come to Baba, right? So just deal with the fresh stock, highest of the high, fresh stock. That's it. Don't waste your time. Right? That's what I was reminded of as an
Very
analogy.
nice.
Ashok,
Very nice.
Ashok, yeah. Anything else,
Yeah.
Ashok? You're clear?
No, it's okay.
Ah.
This is really nice. Thank you. Thank you, Nageshwar Garu and Karthik. Thanks. Bye.
Jai Baba,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
I have
Yeah,
one
Mamaji, go ahead.
small observation. Your point that avatar is a singular is really very, very catchy, because there are no avatars. It is only one avatar. And
Yes, sir.
coming of the
Amazing.
same avatar all the time. And the other point is we would like you to say, read a passage in English and then read that in Telugu itself, just to hear that once. We understand Telugu very little. Still, we would like to have
So
you
I
do that
mentioned the
once.
Telugu translation also, sir, so that you will
Yes, yes.
feel happy,
Okay.
So me and Mamaji are some of the people in the Baba world that have learned Telugu through Baba.
So that is
So
why,
our-
as a sample, just I wanted to go through this.
Sure,
Actually.
sure. Good
Are you
idea.
able to follow
Good
this,
request.
Karthik?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You're able
Please
to
go.
read it? Yeah.
Yeah,
No, here Francis
Yes, sir.
says, yeah. Here Francis
Go ahead.
says, I write something on the blackboard. I need to write, a fresh text on that. First, I need to obliterate this, isn't it? So that is what he says. The last one supersedes the one before. Because, the same he comes again, same avatar. So there is no question of, feeling for it. Hurry, can I obliterate the earlier one? Because he is the same one. Same one, isn't it? Yeah. Let me read it out, Can I proceed with my session,
Please,
Karthik?
please,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The last one is the same as the first. But the last one is the seal of the message, giving it the imprint of his last present form. Yeah. Here, let me just dwell on a particular aspect. Suppose, somebody forgets that Modi is the present prime minister, or rather, he is not aware of the change. He would address his application to Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji. So it would go onto the table of Modi ji only, because he has the seal of authority, isn't it? Because being the latest avatar, he holds charge of the whole spiritual world. So any application should go to the office of the present avatar only. That is it. But the last one is the seal of the message. So he gives the message. His message is the authentic one. That is what. And if you worship one of his previous form, if you have got into the habit of doing this, whatever blessings God gives you is only by his grace in his last now form. That is what I have just now explained to you. Because suppose your application is granted, it is because of Modi's intervention. Because Manmohan Singh is not there in office now. So read God Speaks. He very strongly recommend, Francis, read God Speaks. This present writing is only his light seeping through 49 degrees of a non-illumination and pointing to that book. Perhaps you can understand. I think 49 means you can see in divine a theme chart. Every kingdom there are 7 lines. Every kingdom there are 7 lines. So 7 into 7, 49. So 49 degrees of a non-illumination. That is what. So I feel that it is, this book is the shadow after shadow. Suppose God Speaks is the original. You take one Xerox and you take again Xerox of that Xerox. Like that, if you go on, 49 degrees, you get this book. So he mean to say that before God speaks, it is so minute, so insignificant. That is what he wants to convey. We have been evilly brought up.
So maybe you can read the Telugu, like Mama requested.
Just for once, at least.
Just
Earlier
one.
Earlier one. Yeah.
Sure.
ఈ ఆఖరివాడు ఆ మొదటివాడే. కానీ ప్రేమ సందేశాన్ని ఇచ్చే అధికారం ఆఖరివాడి వద్దే ఉంటుంది. ఆ సందేశం ఆఖరివాని రూపాన్నే రాజముద్రగా కలిగి ఉంటుంది. నీ అలవాటు ప్రకారం నీవు అతని గత రూపాలలో ఏదైనా ఒక దానిని పూజించినప్పుడు భగవంతుని నుండి నీవు పొందే ఆశీస్సులు ఈ ఆఖరి రూపం యొక్క కృప వలన మాత్రమే లభిస్తాయి. భగవద్వచనం గ్రంథాన్ని చదవండి. నా ఈ ప్రస్తుత గ్రంథం అతని దివ్య ప్రకాశాన్ని చాలా తక్కువ స్థాయిలో మాత్రమే చూపించగలిగినప్పటికీ ఇది పాఠకుని దృష్టిని భగవద్వచనం వైపు తప్పనిసరిగా మరలించగలదు. Could you follow, Karthik?
Somewhat, to be honest.
Telugu is one of the most difficult languages of our country. I know that.
So, just a clarification. Based on your explanation, are you suggesting that the last 2 words of this stanza refer to stay with God? So, 49 degrees of
Yeah.
non-elimination.
The essence of that is, though it reflects his rather grandeur in very minimum scale, but still I'm confident that it can turn one towards God Speaks.
Okay. Present writing is only his light seeping through 49 degrees and pointing to God Speaks. Okay.
Yeah, because his grandeur is reduced by 49 degrees. What I write in this book is only the 49 degrees, the condensation of his original light. But
and
still,
non-illumination. So it's weaker than the message. Yeah. Beautiful.
So reducing that illumination by 49 degrees.
49 times. Yeah.
That is what, because it reflects his grandeur in a very small scale. He means to say that.
Perfect. Agreed.
But still it can direct, point towards that book, God Speaks.
Perfect. Great. Understood.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So, we have been evilly brought up. And there is no evil like ignorance or willful distortion of the truth of God's avatar. So here, Baba wants to emphasize also through Francis that, betraying the avatar is the worst kind of sin. And it reminds me of the earlier incidents in Mehrabad. When Baba settled down in Mehrabad, Baba, he ran a school, that, boys' school, Premashram, Mehrashram. You all know that. But, after some time, people, they had developed a distrust in Baba's organization. There was a rumor floating that these boys were being, given a training and they would be sent to participate in the army and all that. And people started, removing the boys from the school. And Baba told them point blank, no, please don't do that. I've been working for their well being. I'm teaching them not only physical education, but even spiritual education. But they never trusted Baba and they took their boys away. And once they reached the village, the elders in the village, they blasted them. You fools, do you know who he is? He breaks his every nerve, to learn this civilized way of living to our kids. You go and seek his pardon. So again, they came down to Baba and they beseeched Baba to forgive them. And Baba said, you need to undergo a type of penance to get out of this sin, Baba said. So he said they need to observe fast for 2 days or 3 days exactly. I do not remember. So he wanted them to come after 3 days, observing fast. And only on liquids they can survive. On the third day, Baba himself went by walk, to the village. And, he offered lemon juice to them. And he helped them to come out of that fast. So then, Bhauji writes in the Lord Meher. So it is always, a great sin to betray the words of the avatar. Because Baba himself demonstrated in his life. Yeah. So that is why, he says we are evilly brought up because we are used to ignoring and willfully distort God's avatarhood. Somebody says, Mere Baba is the avatar. Oh, no, no, no. That is, greatest sin. To the view of Jesus' sacrifice, without his view balanced by an understanding of his glory, of his divine terribleness, the Lamb has been shown to us. The Lion, the Creator, and the Sustainer and Destroyer of universes and lives, suppressed a pernicious doctrine, fosterer of subjection and tyranny, betrayal of truth and love. What I understand of this is the Christians, what they say. He has given up his life for us. He has suffered the cross for us. So he has, accepted our sins and all that. That is why we should worship him. So Francis says, that is a very small thing for such a one like Jesus, who is the avatar himself. Isn't it? Giving life to the dead and giving limbs to the maimed. And this is all, very, very cheap things. Don't reduce Jesus to the level of such a magician, you see. So he says, you have to love him, you have to honor him because he is the lion, he is the creator, he is the sustainer, he is the destroyer of universes and lives. So for that reason only, you should respect him. That is what. Because you see the lamb side of him and you love him, but you see the lion side of him also. For that, Baba says in his own message, love me for love's sake. To love me for what I may give you is not loving me at all. That is the last birthday message given by Baba. To love me for what I may give you is not loving me at all. In love, there is no place for bargain. You need to love me because I am the one who is worthy of being loved. Isn't it, sir? So we have a faculty and we should use that faculty to the best use, isn't it? I can sing. Suppose I am endowed with a beautiful voice. So I need to sing it on the national platform or the international platform. so that, it is known to everyone and everyone enjoys it. And I have a faculty called love. And with regard to whom shall I use this faculty? With the highest of the high. That is the best use where you can use your faculty of love. That is what Baba says. Same message here, Francis conveys. Any comments, please, Karthik?
Beautiful, beautiful. We have
Yeah,
covered this part. These passages are actually done by us, so this is a
very
beautiful
nice.
recap.
Yeah,
Recap of. Please go.
very nice, very nice. So we have been brought up on a story, the wholeness of which is perfect, but which in its telling only half was told. The lamb being killed, the other half, in which the lion rose with a roar which shook the whole earth, has been left unsaid. He suffered the slaughter of his lambness and slept for 3 days in his cave on a mountainside. Then joined his father, a ruler of wide heaven, in judgment on us. For ours is the sin. An opiate teaching for an indolent people. Very nice. The same thing continued, same spirit.
Jai Baba,
Jai Baba
I
sir.
have, yes, I have one suggestion
Please, sir, please.
that when we are reading any of the Baba literature, at least for me, what I'm trying to look at is how does it help in our own self-emancipation? And second is how to practically implement whatever we are reading in Baba's messages. It's nice to love Baba, but for me, the most important thing is what is in it for me in loving Baba, because it's all about relationships, as I mentioned earlier yesterday, that the whole purpose of our being connected to Baba is to find him as our own self. So I would appreciate whenever it's possible that based on your insights, uh, you could look at these two aspects of how does it help our own self-emancipation and the practical aspects of our uh, living our day-to-day life. Jai Baba.
Yes, sir. Jai Baba. Let me share my experience also to you, sir. There is a darkness in a room, pitch dark. And our endeavor is to dispel this darkness out of the room and bring in light. Actually, what I understand is for this, two different endeavors are not necessary. The moment you bring in light, darkness makes a natural exit. Isn't it, sir? The more we love Baba, the more all other things are taken care of. I hope I am very clear to you, sir. Because, when we love Baba, Baba comes and occupies our heart. He starts dwelling in me. So his presence, it it helps us to remove all of the evils, which are harbored in me. Baba says, I am the shy of strangers. You have totally accommodated all the evils in your heart. The moment I want to enter your heart, I find these 5 evils sitting there inside. So once I permit Baba to enter, they make a natural exit, because once Baba enters my heart, I don't entertain them. So they feel that, we should seek a new accommodation, because this fellow is not paying any heed to us. So they make a natural exit. So loving Baba, it includes everything, sir. It helps our spiritual health. It cures our physical health. Everything taken care. Because, in discourses, we come across the life of the matter, the life of the spirit, isn't it, sir? So the life of the spirit, it is the most vital thing, and Baba is interested in that only. So when we put our head at his feet and we surrender ourselves at his feet, he will ensure that the life of spirit is given predominance over the life of the matter, isn't it, sir? So Once, we start loving Baba and Baba enters our life, he will ensure everything, sir. We need not separately worry about our own self-realization and all this. That is my gut feeling, sir.
Jai Baba. So the
Jai Baba.
question here is, when you're talking about loving Baba, so
Yeah.
can you tell us how do you love Baba in your practical day-to-day life?
Yeah, I think of him most of the time. I keep him in my rather, companionship all the time. I try to. I don't say that I am doing that, but I am trying to do that. So think of Baba, read Baba's books, and work for Baba. There are different ways because everybody is not, of one type. We have different varieties of mentalities. I can sing, and somebody can paint, and somebody can write, isn't it? And somebody can talk. So like that, different faculties are there, and we can use any faculty and participate in Baba's work. Or I can read about Baba, I can meditate on Baba, I can think of Baba, and I can participate in some service. Anything you can take, but keeping Baba along with you. That is what, sir.
Okay, Jai Baba. So
Jai
one
Baba, sir.
final aspect to it. So, for
Please, sir.
example, as Baba said, man suffers from lust of the gross body, greed of the subtle body, and anger of the mental body. And there are many other aspects of the ego, as we know, like infatuation, jealousy, fear, worry, and so on and so forth. These are normal human tendencies that each
Yes, yes,
human
sir.
being has to go through. So, you also being a human being have faced these kind of tendencies. So, when we are talking about, yes, I understand what you're saying, by reading about Baba, thinking about Baba, and so on and so forth. Do you feel that you're automatically able to subdue all these negative tendencies, or you have to work on it?
Yeah, let me
Jai Baba.
honestly tell you, sir. Certainly, all these things they bother me, but still, Baba said there are three ways of expressing. One is through thoughts, another is through words, another is through actions. The samskaras that are created through actions, they are very strong, indelible, very difficult to remove them. But through words, it is a little better compared to the samskaras that are created out of action. And samskaras that are created by thoughts, they are very, very rather fainter relatively. So Baba says, the moment you get a bad thought, you think of me, you think of me. Let it stop there. Let it not be translated into action. So you take then the help of my name. Keep my name as a mosquito net around you. So that is how, I feel that Baba comes to my rescue when I am about to fall a prey to the temptation. Yes, sir.
Jai Baba, thank you.
Jai Baba, sir. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
That's a nice way of explaining. And I feel the thought, even though it is as a samskara very faint in, say, keeping an imprint as such, but is the initiating force. If we can stop it there itself, it stops the entire process of words and deeds. So that's why whenever there is a thought, you think of something else, that thought is broken. So Baba is the chain breaker there. That's why
Yes,
we
sir.
should keep Baba's name
Yes, sir.
always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, sir. Well said.
Yes, sir. Even Jay Baba, even Baba
Jai Baba.
says, right? Thoughts are, of course, we all know thoughts are related to the mental world. We are not in the mental world. We are in the physical world. So Baba suggested, if you want to control any thoughts, you can do any physical action. Suppose sometimes we may get, so that time we may do some physical action like looking at Baba, reading or listening. Some physical action you can control the um, mental thoughts. That's what I understood.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Jai Baba, I think the analogy of light and
turning away darkness, and the mosquito net. I think it has been mentioned earlier also by. So I think we take Baba's name and the rest. Once we are occupied with his name, his thought, the other things won't have a entry into it. Like
It works like an odomas. You know, the moment we apply odomas, repellent. You know.
It's a very nice analogy. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the light and darkness analogy too. And I think Baba's message of the net is very appropriate. But it's a work in progress, right? Like Rao Garu said, like Kama said, everybody wants to do it, is serious about it, but then it's a work in progress. It keeps rearing its head, and we keep bringing more Baba into our lives to make that progress, I believe. So, yeah, please continue, sir.
Yeah. We have been told of God's sacrifice for us, but not instructed regarding our required sacrifice to Him. Surely a doctrine for shopkeepers who don't like fair trade. You see, sir, how he mixes humor in such a profound truth, isn't it? So God's sacrifice, we are told of. But you know what we need to do, nobody tells us. So we affirm, unless one die. This is a Christian statement, actually. Unless one dies. And take it, that affirmation is sufficient to bring about our death. You know, we go on reciting that statement. That is a Christian missionary statement, I think, you know. Our beloved master would never think of helping us along. It has not been lovingly explained to us that a blow from the hand of God is a caress from his of most love. That is what, you know, because we want to rather, you know, we desist any a sort of hardship that God gives us. But through that hardship, God would show us compassion and kindness. You know, it's a great help. We never realize that, isn't it? Suppose He gives a small stroke, and it gives me immense pain. It is for my ultimate good. This is never explained to me with love. Not only can I not sing of you, my beloved, but I have no place in your work. So here, Francis would lament that, you know, like Yerage, like Adi, like Mani or Mehra, I cannot, I don't have a place in your work. A lame cur around the streets and back doors of houses, and I who was once a cattle dog, whose teeth were respected. Once upon a time, a very wonderful poem this is, Once upon a time, I was helping the shepherd, in caretaking the sheep. So everybody was scared of my teeth. When I displayed my teeth, everybody was scared of me. But now I have become a street dog, and I would follow you behind you, keeping a little distance. Yeah, dog I would be, but at your heels, Baba, in trot in your dust, and at campfire at night, lie a little away off, watching you every more. And when you lay down, myself to follow you again in dream. Just like a street dog, I follow you wherever you go, following your footprints. When you sit near the campfire, I also would sit at a distance. Hello? Sit at a distance. And when you doze and go into a dream state, then I also would like into the dream state so that I can follow you in my dream also. So wonderful, sir, really. And there is another book that is called In Dust I Sing, sir. In that, let me share with you one beautiful poem, he writes. So it is the love street where the abode of the beloved is there. So in the street, several of his lovers, they made temporary homesteads, small huts along the path. Because, the beloved comes in the early hours of the day with a jar full of divine wine. And he would walk along the street. And those lovers who are ready, getting up in the early hours, and ready to receive that prasad through his hands, they would be given that prasad. So Francis also would become, one of the beggars in that street, Love Street. He makes a small estate there, and it is, full of dust, because the dust particle, being dead to oneself and continue to live. That is the meaning of being a dust. A dust, it takes honor and insult alike. So that is what, Francis says, today I got up very late because already it was time for the beloved to walk along the street. So in a shock, I got up. Just I was about to wash my face off the dust that got collected on my face. And slowly the voice of one dust particle I heard and asked, what is it? It said, anyhow, the Lord has given you to kiss his lotus feet today. Why don't you just, retain me there? Let me be there on your feet so that I too can kiss the feet of the lotus feet of the beloved. After that, you can brush me aside. See, sir, what a wonderful feeling, such a poetic marvel. So only, I think only a great poet and a lover first, like Francis, can only present such a great feeling. So this is from God's speaking. That is from God speaks, a retelling of God speaks. Once God, that great being, whose nature is existence, knowledge, and bliss, slept. He was like a man in deep sleep, who is, but does not know that he is. How simply Francis puts it, sir. He had no knowledge of his knowledge, nor experience of his bliss. He was like a still, shoreless ocean, which no wind or wave moved upon. There was nothing but him. There were no stars, nor sun, nor earth, nor anything. All things were within him. But since he slept, they also were asleep, unformed and unmanifest. How nicely he put it, sir, the entire concept of the beyond state of God. This is what is explained, in God Speaks. But so nicely, so simple terms, you see. So again, to try to explain this is nothing but insulting the simplicity of this poem, I feel. All knowledge of himself and of all things were in him, but he did not know that he knew. Then there surged within him the desire to know who he was. And he spoke within himself the first speech, who am I? And with the utterance of this first speech, all things in their potentiality came forth from him. But all things are nothing. And so the universe and stars and suns is nothing. Nothing is included in his everything, but is nothing in itself. But at this time, since he did not know his knowledge, he did not know that nothing was nothing at all. Wonderful way of the
Brilliant,
concluding
brilliant.
sentence. Yeah. He did not know that nothing was nothing at all. He mistook nothing as everything. That is the problem.
As you
So
said,
each thing,
beautiful
yeah,
in its simplicity.
yeah, you see the simplicity, sir.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. So that is why Baba told him, you gave life to my book, God Speaks. So it is not for nothing that Baba gave such a big compliment. So each thing he brought forth out of nothing and caused it to exist in seemingness. He great only being thought he was. That means he thought he was a stone. He was a stone. Yeah. He created the stone, thought he was stone, lived a stone. Millions of years, then said something other than am I. He created vegetation, thought he was vegetation, lived as vegetation millions of years, and then said something other am I. He created in turn worms and reptiles, fishes, birds, and animals, and in turn thought he was, and lived as each of these. Then he created man and said, this is sufficient for all my requirements. I know myself, who I am, because this is in my own image, myself. Very simple, sir. So then, we are going to the next book. All written words are dead until you bring them to life. You see, sir, how simply he put the whole thing. All written words are dead unless you bring them to life. But the life you give them will be of your own image of falseness, not truths. Truth is contained only in the life giving word of the perfect master. You see, sir, how nicely he sums up everything. So he just
Amazing.
sees, the value of our own effort, and the help of the master, isn't it? Because all our effort, it has the background of our falseness. But perfect master's help, it has the background of his truth. It is better to read than gossip. It is better to meditate than read. It is better to love than meditate. But since you're already trapped in the coils of mental convulsions, read the books of the saints, and God speaks by the perfect master. How nice it is, sir.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Really mind blowing, I tell you. How simply he puts it, sir. Such a profound expression, you see. It is better to read than gossip, better to meditate than read, better to love than meditate. But since you're already trapped in the coils of mental convulsions, like us, we want to intellectualize everything.
I was going to say
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely like us. Last two lines are a tight slap for all of us.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Then read the books of the saints, and God speaks by the perfect master.
Uh,
Pitiable. Yeah,
can
yeah,
we
please.
have? Can we allude to what Francis alludes to as saints? Whom are he referring to as saints in that poem?
Saints. Yeah, yeah. Saints means actually sixth plane, sir.
Ah,
Sixth plane persons are called saints. Sant, we call it, Sant.
Sant.
Yeah, it is sixth plane status. Because, they have only one faculty, that is of seeing God face to face. So every other thing is, absent for them. Only they have a very, very flimsy thread of lone samskara. And because of that, they are conscious of the mind. And that is why they feel themselves as a separate seer and God as the seen. The last trace of samskara they have. So they are saints, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Jai Baba, sir. Jai Baba. I think, they witness God's presence in everything. Everything. Suppose when Bhakta Prahalada was asked by his father, "Is your God Vishnu? He is there in the pillar?" And the Prahalada would answer, "He is everywhere. He is in everything." Yeah, why not this pillar? He would say. That means maybe I think Prahalada is in the sixth plane because he is a ready-made soul, mature soul, you know. So that is the saintship. Saintship means sixth plane status. Yeah, Karthik.
Please continue, sir. Please continue. No problem.
Oh, in the dawn, I heard the news being bandied about. Today is being spread the feast for the tavern keeper's son. In Sufi parlance, tavern keeper is called Saki, because the owner of the divine treasure shop, he comes and he comes with a jar of nectar, the divine wine, isn't it? So his son is coming. I heard the news today because some rather, what shall I say, advertisement like thing, is being made in the area. So that the son of the shopkeepers is coming, he is arranging a feast, a divine feast. I would sweep the floor of the tavern with my eyelashes if there was any chance of being invited to a drinking bout with the disciples of the perfect master. You see, sir? So Francis is his shopkeeper's son means the Christian says son of God. He is the avatar, Jesus. So like that, he would refer to Baba. So today a feast is being arranged along with all his monthly members. They are the disciples of the perfect masters. So if I am also invited for such a feast, I am ready to sweep the floor of that house with my eyelashes. So that is such a great, great fortune, he says.
There is an
So
imagery here also
Yeah.
of Baba being the tavern keeper's son, actually,
Yeah.
toddy shop owner's son, and he swept everything. And though he might have given the toddy as a drink, he was
Yes, sir.
given nectar to all the human beings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, certainly, sir.
yeah. So actually, can you throw a little more light on what you said on the Sufi analogy? So the wine shop and the wine is used
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Yes. Actually, according to the Sufi terminology, the lover and beloved, the divine shop owner is God, and the lover is one who is addicted to that wine. Always he would be just, watering on the steps. He would be sitting there or rolling along the steps and all that. He cannot go out of that. That is because of the addiction for the wine. So that is the love. Wine means love for God. Love for God. So his attention is only when the shop will be opened, when the shopkeeper, the owner comes there with his jar of divine love. So all along, he is focused on that only. He has no other concern. He does not, take care of his body. He disregards the upkeep of his daily course and all that. He does not care what the world thinks about him. You see the must, the way how they must live, So we can say they are all drunk with love for God. So in that intoxication, they disregard everything, including the world, everything. So that is, Sufis say that God is the Saki, they call it, who distribute the divine wine. And we are
Great.
up to anything, for that divine wine. They are ready to sacrifice anything and everything. And all the ghazals and kavalis, they are only on this theme. Yes, sir. There are several
Thank
ghazals
you.
which Baba liked, Yeah, yeah. Please.
I'm
Thank you.
tempted
Thank
to say a small share, with your permission. So, जो नशा है डिवाइन में, वो कहाँ है वाइन में?
Yeah, very nice, sir. I am very poor at Hindi, sir. That is the problem. You can explain it.
No,
नशा नशा
this
is intoxication. So
Yeah,
नशा
yeah,
जो है वाइन में नहीं
yeah,
है. I mean जो डिवाइन
yeah,
में
yeah,
है वाइन
जो
में.
yeah.
नशा
Yeah.
So the book Wayfarers, is full of that intoxication for love of God. You know that, You must have read that book also, Karthik. Wayfarers by Dr. William Donkin.
I have read as a group we haven't. Yes, yes,
Oh,
that covers a
yeah,
lot about the musts and
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
what. Once men sang, this is from the last book, Once men sang purely in the work of their hands, in the speech of their mouths. They knew that Avatar and perfect masters were the only God on the earth, and that the saints were doors to him. That means they are the gateways through which we can enter God. By God, men lived, and his name wrought on their works. They went not out to labor, nor sat down to meat without song attending. That is, the traditional way of living in India. Francis, he explains, before we try to, just as soon as we get up from the bed, first we think of God. After we take a bath, we think of God. Before we partake of the first morsel of food, we think of God. Like that, he says. Then spirit faltered, losing its way somewhat in the darkening lanes of the blood. Then slowly, gradually, we drifted away from God. and we tasted blood. That means we took to criminal ways of living. That is a wonderful poem, this one again, sir. And Shiva gave a new scripture. His niece beseeched by lovely Parvati for men's easement, set a new light in the ingle in their cottages, gave a new calling for the speech to call in their hearts. So wonderful, sir. Shiva means, here I understand that, in the beyond God. Yeah. So Parvati beseeched means maybe the five perfect masters beseeched him. Once again, you interfere and set things right. Then he comes and he gives a new name to call Baba. Earlier, we had Rama, Krishna, Jesus, Muhammad. Now we got a new name to call in our hearts. Yeah. No, let me conclude one beautiful story with that. Let me conclude. Karthik, anything there? Any other thing, Karthik?
Yeah. Please go ahead. I think you wanted one more stanza. I think you just scrolled over it. Just go up a little bit.
Yeah, because time may not be sufficient for me to cover that
Oh,
story.
okay.
That is
Yeah,
sorry.
sure. So we'll go to Paul's story, please. Go
It
ahead.
is yeah, yeah. So we
Paul's
being
story.
Hindus, we think only in Hinduism we have very, very great stories. But after going through the Francis's book, we come across such great stories in every faith. In every faith, there is no dearth of such great books. And this is one great story about Saint Paul. Saint Paul. Actually, the whole story is not given in Stay with God because it's not possible for a poet to do so. He just mentions, two or three poems about Saint Paul. But my friends, the boys, young boys, they downloaded it from the net, the full story. Let me narrate that, sir. It's a wonderful story. So one small kid, he lost both his parents, when he was very young, 15 or 16-year-old. So he had a big kingdom. So he went to his sister, who was a neighboring state queen. So the sister's husband, he tried to kill this boy and snatch away his kingdom. The sister, she came to know of this, and one night she could help this boy to escape from the palace, and just he ran very long distances to escape from the clutches of the king. And he ran on for days, and he went into a big desert. There also he ran into a place where no habitation was there. Very deep into the desert he went. And he found a small oasis like thing. And in the banks of the oasis, there were some fruit trees and all that, date and all that. So there was a small hillock. On that, there was a stone cave. So he made it his home and just he lived there all the time, thinking of Jesus. That's all. He had no books, nothing. He lived alone, thinking of Jesus, loving Jesus. That's all. So he became very old. And close by, just, it took, 2 days walk from that place. There is another small village. And near that village, another great saint was there. His name was Saint Anthony. He had his own ashram. And several disciples were there with him. So he was highly respected. He was quite popular in the area. So one night, God appeared in his dream to Anthony and said, there is another saint in this very desert who is much more advanced than what you think you are. So you go to him. Immediately he got up because it was God's order. He got up and he started walking according to the directions given to him by God in his dream. So he walked for 2 days and he came to the cave. There, he was absorbed in reciting prayer to God. So he waited for some time and then, slowly, St. Paul, he opened his eyes and looked at this guy. Who you are? He said, I am St. Anthony God appeared to me in my dream and all that. Oh, yeah, come, come. He offered water to him. Then a crow came there with a big bread in its mouth, and it dropped the bread there. He was shocked. St. Anthony was shocked. What is this? Then, St. Paul said, after I landed here as a 15-year-old boy, God was sending me this bread every day. He was shocked, Anthony, because he has mastered all these philosophical knowledge, spiritual scriptures, and all that. But he never had such an experience of God directly coming to help his lovers. So slowly, he stayed there for 2 days. Then Paul said, now it is time for me to go to the Lord. That is why God appeared to you in your dream. You go back to your place and bring the divine cloth which God gifted you with. Then he was shocked because really God appeared in his vision and gifted him with a cloth, a divine cloth, that nobody knew except him and God. But how this man could know that? He was shocked. He said, hurry up, there is no time. So again he walked down, the whole distance, and he came with that divine cloth. And Paul said, before, this fellow departed, Paul said, after you come, you wrap my body in that divine cloth, then you bury me here. So by the time St. Anthony returned, Paul already is dead. So St. Anthony, he cried because, such a great lover, he has not given me enough time to spend in his company. So he was, he has already wrapped the dead body in that cloth. But he thought, now I should dig a grave for him, I have to bury him in the pit. But there is no tool. There is no tool available. Now he cannot leave the corpse there alone and go back to his hut again. So he was wondering what to do. Suddenly, he could see two fully grown lions charging towards him. So he was frozen with fear. And the two lions came to the dead man, and they licked the feet of the dead man. And suddenly Antony realized, so they love Paul so much. So Paul must have made friends with all the beasts around here. So they came to Antony also, and they licked the feet of the Antony, and they reassured him, don't worry. So they dug, very big pit, for Paul's body within no time. And they took leave by bowing down to St. Anthony. And all the time, Anthony was just shedding tears, of gratitude to God. Are God, how you take care of your true lovers. I never heard this. I never know this. I only memorized it in the scriptures and all that. I don't have the direct experience of what true love is like. So then he buried and he expressed his gratitude to God. So this is the thing, sir. So Francis says, such saints are the true lovers of God. So God cannot afford to, disregard them, isn't it? That is what Baba says. I cannot dare ignore the true love of my lovers. So thank you very much, sir, once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks. This from our side. Thank you so much for the beautiful session. Before that, any questions, any responses, feedback? Please jump in. We still have 2 minutes.
So, Nageshwar Garu, it is a delightful session with a lot of good analogies and a lot of good takeaways for us. So we are grateful from the bottom of our heart for sparing your insights. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the real poetic way of explaining a poetry. Nice way of putting across the thing, captivating all of us for 1.5 hours. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank
We would
you.
like to have your company for a long time to come.
Yeah, please, sir. I too would like, if I can be of some help, I feel quite happy.
So he has already made the offer, and we are pleased to confirm that frequently we will have him join us for sessions like this, especially where we can group up some things, pick a theme, have some doubts, have some questions which we can share with him in advance, and then we can schedule a session where he talks to us. It will be amazing.
Yeah. I would request, whenever you come across some gray areas, you can just underline them, and you can pull such things up, and you can once in a way you can pull me down into the group, so that I can be of some
Perfect,
help to
perfect,
you. Yeah,
perfect. We will do that.
yeah. So Jai
Okay,
Baba, thank you,
so
thank you for bearing
yeah,
with
thank
me,
you
sir.
so much. Oh, not at all. It was a pleasure. I mean, thank you so much for the sixth session, and thanks everybody for joining. We continue our
Baba, thank you so
read.
much.
Yeah, we continue our read next Saturday. I need a volunteer because I will be on a flight at that time, but I will join around 8:30, which is very late. So I need a volunteer who can continue from this point on. And I think where we need to start, correct me if I'm wrong, is Naropa and Tilopa and Mamaji's research on it. I've not forgotten. So
Okay.
so we can start with that and then pick up on those pages and continue from that if everybody's okay.
You can send the link from where we need to go ahead.
Sure, I will do that.
We had somebody
Great.
with name which is Sri Nagesh, some new
Yeah,
person.
that's Nagesh from Jayanagar.
Oh,
Right.
okay, okay.
Nagesh Garu from Jayanagar, correct.
Yes,
Jai
he can
Mer
say
Baba.
hello to all of us. and
Jai
then-
Baba, Jai Baba.
Jai Mer Baba.
Right.
I'm
Jai
Sri
Baba,
Nagesh
Jai
from
Baba.
Bombay.
Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. So
Okay.
I thought it
So
was
we had
Nagesh from.
yeah,
Yeah, go
please go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we had a wonderful time with Nageswara ji at Kakinada. So mm, I was I used to occasionally join the book reading because it used to
Oh.
be during working days. So thank you, Nageswara garu, for this wonderful session.
Thank you,
It,
sir. Jai Baba.
it's inspiring us to uh, you know mm, to s- to touch that book because I left it several times. So I could not make head and tail, in fact, out of the first few pages. So never tried to, but this session of yours is really inspiring us, to dare to open that book again.
Yes.
Well said. Please
Touch.
join us if you want to continue where we are. We are about 15 pages into the book, and we will continue over the weekends into the future. So please feel free to jump in and join those sessions. Of course, we'll
Sure.
have Rao Garu as well come in. So you're in Bombay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I
Sir,
got
let me
confused
introduce
with
Sinegesh Garu. He's
sure.
from the family of very old Baba lovers. His parents, they visited Baba quite number of times. His Sinegesh also visited Baba several times. And his brother, Dr. Vasudev, he lives in Panchgani, taking care of Baba's cave there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yesterday you mentioned. Yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great lover, sir. Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Jai
So thank you
Baba.
once again. Thank
Pleasure
you,
to.
sir. Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your generous introduction.
Jai Baba, sir.
Jai
What is your
Baba. Jai
brother's name?
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Vasudev.
Okay, Baba.
Yeah, Dr. Vasudev, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thanks
Jai
to
Baba.
everybody. Have a great rest of the Sunday and enjoy the week ahead. And with the homework done, with the catch up, let's continue our journey starting Saturday 7:30 with Stay with God. We have a huge strength in our way now. When we have doubts, we know what to do. So with that confidence, let's pick up from where we stopped a couple of weeks back. On that note, Avatar Meher Baba ki jai, and thank you, Rao Garu again.
Jai Baba sir, Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Thank you. Thank you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.